There are vaults beneath the earth where no human foot has walked for tens of thousands of years. Inside them, on walls of black stone, the Draco carved their archives, not of events, but of instructions. These are not stories. They are messages. 35 fragments of knowledge, left for whoever dares to look past the surface of the world and see how it really works. What you are about to hear is not a translation. It is a transmission. These messages were never meant to be read as simple words. They were built to be carried in the body like seeds. If even one of them takes root in you, it will begin to change the way you move through reality. You may start to notice how the currents of time bend, how the spaces between your thoughts become larger, how other people's noise begins to slide off you as if it no longer has a place to land. The Draco archives speak in symbols, but the symbols are precise. They speak about the mechanics of fear, about the weight of blood, about the stillness that comes before action. And they speak, again and again, of freedom, a freedom that does not come from breaking chains, but from never stepping into them in the first place. Listen to them as you would listen to a voice in the dark. Some of these messages may pass through you. Others may stop and stay. If one of them feels like it was written for you, do not run from it. It has been waiting. They say that when you enter the Hall of Archives, the air itself becomes heavy. The walls are not covered in pictures, not in history, not in names of kings. They are cut deep with lines, straight and silent, each one holding a message that has outlived the flesh of the one who wrote it. There is no decoration here, no gold, no vanity. Only instructions. The first message stands alone, larger than the rest. It is carved so deeply into the stone that even if the wall were to fall, the mark would remain in the broken pieces. Fear is the leash you put on yourself. At first it seems simple. Too simple. But the more you stand before it, the more you realize what it means, that every chain you thought was forged by another has been fastened by your own hands. The Draco do not fight fear, they starve it. They refuse to feed it with attention, with the endless imagination of catastrophe that fills the human mind. To them, fear is not an enemy to conquer. It is a tool you can stop using. As you hear this, you might feel the echo of your own leash. You may notice where it tugs you in directions you never wanted to go. That noticing is the first cut in the rope. The second message is smaller, etched lower on the wall, as if meant for those who bend close and look carefully. Time is a river. You are not water. For the Draco, this single sentence is the beginning of all freedom. They do not rush, because they know they are not part of the current. They do not try to hold the river back, because they know they are not its banks. They stand still until the water flows around them. You have felt this before in moments where everything slowed, where for just a second the world felt like it moved past you instead of dragging you along. The archives tell you, this state is not an accident. It is a skill. The third message is strange, cut so shallowly that the light must fall at just the right angle to see it. Silence is the sharpest weapon. It is easy to misunderstand this one. Silence is not withdrawal. It is focus. It is the refusal to give your power away in words, in explanation, in the endless attempt to be understood. The Draco use silence the way a blade is used, precisely, without waste. Their silence is not emptiness. It is full of weight. When they finally speak, the words land like stones because they have been sharpened by the hours of everything left unsaid. Try this for yourself. Hold one word back today that you would normally throw into the air. Feel how the world changes when you keep it. That is the edge of the blade. Further along the wall, carved at an angle as if it were watching everything else, is the fourth message. The cold will open the gate. To the Draco, cold is not the absence of life. It is clarity. It is the cooling of impulse, the stilling of heat until the truth appears. This cold is not a feeling you fall into, it is a practice you build. Each time you hold yourself when you want to react, each time you wait instead of rushing, each time you look at something without judgment, the gate opens a little. Beyond that gate is a field of choices that others cannot see because they are too busy burning. And those who can see more choices always have more power. The fifth message is the one that most people do not understand on the first reading. The world is not solid. It is a field. Shape the field and you shape the world. This message is the seed of the Draco way. They do not force. They do not push. They shape the space around them until reality bends. Imagine how different your life would be if instead of trying to fight everything directly, you began shaping the field, clearing the chaos from your room, from your breath, from your mind. The Draco know that when the field is steady, the events that happen inside it cannot help but align. As you stand before these first 5 messages, you begin to feel that they are not just instructions. They are mirrors. Each one shows you a place where you have been blind. Each one points at something you have always known, but never said out loud. They are not telling you what to believe. They are showing you what you already are. Perhaps one of these sentences has already stopped inside you. Let it sit there. Let it become heavy. That weight is the beginning of remembering. When you step deeper into the hall, the air cools further, and the path between the walls narrows. The carvings here are smaller, closer together, like a language whispered instead of spoken. It is said that these messages are not for the eyes only. They are for the parts of you that have been quiet for a long time, the parts that begin to wake up when words finally touch them. The 6th message stands alone on a curved piece of wall, where the torchlight bends around it and makes the letters seem to ripple. Observe without entering. For the Draco, this is the way they look at the world. Not as a stage to perform on, not as a battlefield to rush into. They watch until the pattern becomes visible. They say that most chaos dissolves before you even touch it, if you can wait long enough. And when they do act, it is only after the noise has fallen away and the truth is left bare. Try this for a single day, to watch, to see, and to refuse to be pulled into the wave. You may find that you do not need to fight as often as you think. A little farther down, there is a message cut into the stone any height, as if meant for those willing to kneel to see it. Blood remembers more than the mind. The 7th message speaks of lineage, not only of flesh but of what you carry within you when you think no one is watching. The Draco believe that everything you build in yourself becomes part of that memory. You can inherit fear just as you can inherit strength. You can pass on chaos just as easily as clarity. It asks you to consider what your life is teaching to those who will come after you, even if they will never know your name. Then, on a section of wall where the rock itself seems to have been folded and pressed into a spiral, you see the 8th message. Energy has shape. Shape it before it shapes you. This message is one that few can read without stopping. You can feel the truth of it in your body, how your posture shapes your thoughts, how your thoughts shape your day, how the space around you pushes you into patterns you never chose. The Draco do not allow themselves to be shaped unconsciously. They take control of the field, the posture, the breath, until even the smallest streams of energy follow their command. To them, the one who shapes energy first is the one who writes reality. The 9th message is not a command but a reminder, etched with long sweeping curves. Gravity belongs to will. You may think of gravity as a physical law, but here it means something else. It is the pull you have on the world around you. The Draco build their will so dense, so unshakable, that everything near them bends to it. They do not need to convince or control. They simply stand, and reality, like water, moves around them. This is why when you meet someone with true gravity, you find yourself speaking slower, thinking deeper, feeling heavier. It is their will, not their words, that holds you there. The 10th message, the last in this narrow corridor, is carved at eye level. It is simple, but the space around it feels heavy, as if the message itself creates a circle of stillness. Your shadow is a tool. Most beings run from their shadow, afraid of what it might show. The Draco do not run. They study it. They know that the parts of themselves they do not like hold the most power. By facing those parts and using them, they become whole. This message is a challenge, to look where you do not want to look, and to make of that darkness a strength. The shadow that is avoided becomes a chain. The shadow that is understood becomes a key. As you stand in front of these messages, you realize how strange it feels to be in a place where the walls are not telling stories of victories or losses, but of discipline. Nothing here asks to be worshipped. Nothing asks to be followed. Each message points back to you, to the place inside you where these things already exist. They are reminders, not gifts. Perhaps already one of these has lodged itself inside you. Maybe the words about watching without entering have made you notice how quickly you step into battles that are not yours. Maybe the idea that blood remembers has made you wonder what you are really leaving behind. Or maybe the thought of your shadow as a tool has forced you to see that there are places in yourself you have refused to face. Whatever it is, let it stay. That is how these archives work. They change you in silence. The corridor widens again, and the stone becomes lighter in color, as if the air itself has been polished by centuries of stillness. Here the messages are carved in larger letters, and the gaps between them grow wider. It feels as though these words require more space, as though they do not want to stand too close to anything else. The 11th message is carved into a single block of stone that has no cracks, no flaws. It begins with a single line. Do nothing before the stillness arrives. This is a teaching that stands at the center of the Draco discipline. It says, action born from restlessness is a knife in your own hand. The Draco will wait, silent, unmoving, even when chaos swirls around them. They know that only in stillness does the right action appear, and when it does, there is no doubt. As you hear this, ask yourself, how many of your choices have been made only because you could not bear to wait a little longer? The 12th message is found lower down, inscribed in a circle that makes the words loop endlessly, without beginning or end. Walk without leaving footprints. The Draco do not see value in being remembered for noise. They believe the truest power is invisible, that the greatest influence leaves no scars behind. When they move so precisely that the world changes, but no one can say exactly how. You have seen a shadow of this in your own life, when a single sentence from someone shifted everything for you, but you cannot remember the words, only the change it left behind. The next one, the 13th, lies carved at a height where you must tilt your head far back to read it, as though the stone itself wants you to stretch. What is not in harmony will collapse on its own. It is a lesson in patience. Humans are quick to strike, quick to break what they fear. The Draco wait. They know that chaos consumes itself if you do not feed it. A structure that is false will eventually fall without a push. This message is a mirror, showing you how much of your strength you waste fighting things that would have fallen anyway. The 14th message is unusual. The letters are not cut deep, but scratched, thin lines like a map. Find the space between thoughts and live there. The Draco teach that there is a place where time slows to a stop, a gap between the endless flow of thought. That gap is a doorway. Most beings pass over it without ever noticing, moving from one reaction to the next. But if you step into that space, even for a second, you begin to see the pattern behind the pattern. This is where their strength begins. And it is available to you in every moment, if you have the patience to look for it. The 15th message seems softer than the others. Its lines are curved, flowing, almost tender. Do not confuse movement with growth. This is a warning to those who believe that constant motion is progress. The Draco know that running in circles makes the ground beneath you deeper, but never wider. To grow is not to move. It is to change the shape of the field inside you. They will spend decades building that shape before taking a single step, and when they finally move, it is not in circles, it is in a line that has never been walked before. As you stand before these 5 messages, you begin to see the thread that runs through all of them. It is the discipline of waiting, the strength of not rushing, the understanding that life is built not from speed but from structure. Each word is like a stone placed on top of another, and the shape they form is not a wall but a path. You start to realize that you are not just hearing about the Draco way, you are already walking it, step by step, as each message takes root in you. Something changes as you leave this section of the hall. The air feels thicker, and the floor under your feet feels steadier, as though the messages have made your steps heavier. And yet there is a strange calm in it, a sense that you no longer need to hurry to reach the next wall. You are already carrying it with you. The deeper you move into the archive, the quieter it becomes. The walls here feel older, the lines on them sharper, and yet the silence that fills the space makes every word seem alive. There is no dust. It is as if the air itself has been standing still for centuries, holding these teachings in its hands. The 16th message is etched into a long horizontal slab of stone, the letters as straight and deliberate as a blade. Death is not an end. It is a change of direction. The Draco have never seen death as a wall. To them, it is a turn in the path, a shift of perspective, a doorway to a field where what you have built continues. This is why they do not cling. They do not hide. They do not waste their lives trying to outrun the shadow that walks with everyone. They use their time to create something that will survive the turn. When you carry this in your own mind, you stop fearing the inevitable and start shaping what will remain of you after the direction changes. Farther along, a second slab of stone stands upright like a tall sentinel. The 17th message is cut so deep that your fingers could sink into the grooves. Your past is a tool, not a home. These words are a warning. Too many live in the weight of what has already happened, as if the past were a chain around the neck. The Draco do not erase the past. They study it. They sharpen it. And then they carry it as a blade, not as a burden. They know that to stay in the past is to give away the present. To use the past is to reclaim it. The 18th message is carved into a smaller block that juts out from the wall, as though the stone itself wanted to speak. What you repeat becomes the shape you live in. Every thought you return to, every pattern of movement, every habit leaves a mark. The Draco are not slaves to repetition, they choose it. They repeat only what builds them, until the shape becomes strong enough to hold. This is the law of concentration, that the world becomes what you practice. And if you are careless, you will live in a shape that was built by accident. Then, on a wall that curves slightly inward, as if leaning close to listen to you, is the 19th message. The field you hold will lead others before your words ever can. This message is a reminder of gravity. It tells you that people feel the weight of who you are before they ever hear what you say. You do not need to convince, to argue, to fight. If the field you carry is clear and steady, it will speak for you. It will draw others into its pattern without effort, just as the Draco draw rooms into stillness when they enter. The 20th message is the last one in this long passage. It is simple, but there is something heavy in the way the letters are carved, as if they were meant to sink deeper than thought. Patience builds empires. The Draco do not rush to claim power. They build a presence so strong that power comes to them. They measure time in centuries, not in minutes. They know that every action built too quickly will collapse too soon. They wait until every stone is set, and only then do they step forward. It is why their influence stretches across eras, even when their names are forgotten. As you stand before these 5 teachings, a strange calm begins to grow in you. The air feels denser, but your thoughts feel lighter. It becomes clearer that these messages are not instructions in the usual sense. They are invitations to slow down, to sharpen, to build something so stable that it will survive long after the surface of the world changes. Perhaps, for a moment, you can already feel that stability in yourself, as if a part of you has been waiting all along for someone to remind you of it. The next hall opens like the inside of a great ribcage, high arches curving over you, every surface carved with lines that look less like words and more like waves. Here, the messages feel different. They are lighter to look at, but heavier to hold. They seem to speak less about the world outside and more about the forces that flow inside those who find them. The 21st message runs in a line across the wall, perfectly level, stretching from one end of the arch to the other. Teach without speaking, pass on what cannot be forgotten. The Draco believe the deepest teachings are not passed by word or text. They are passed through the way you hold yourself, the way you move, the structure you build that others feel long before they understand. This is how they preserve knowledge for millennia. A field holds more than any book, and it cannot be burned. Lower, at the base of a column that holds the hall, you see the 22nd message. Build rhythm, not reaction. Most beings live in reaction. They are thrown from one thing to another like leaves in the wind. The Draco practice rhythm. It means they move by intention, not by accident. It means that every step comes from the same center, and over years this rhythm grows so powerful that even chaos begins to adjust to it. You can feel this difference in yourself when you breathe deliberately, even once. Rhythm is the shape of freedom. Between 2 columns, in a narrow space where only one person can stand at a time, you find the 23rd message. Do not measure your life by the noise around you. The walls themselves seem to hum as you read this. It is a reminder that the loudest voices are not the clearest, and that what most of the world calls success is just a way of distracting from the silence. The Draco measure their lives not by applause but by alignment. The fewer things that can shake their inner structure, the greater the strength of their path. The noise fades, the structure remains. Farther in a place where the stone curves like a spiral, is the 24th message. To see truth, first remove what you hope to find. They say the greatest danger to vision is expectation. If you look for what you want to see, you will miss what is there. The Draco train to see without coloring reality with their desires. This is how they know what others cannot. They remove themselves first, and what is left when there is no hope, no fear, no wanting, that is the truth. At the center of the hall, on a single block standing upright like a monument, is the 25th message. The letters are wide, simple, unmistakable. The world ends where your perception ends. This final message in the hall is both a warning and a gift. Most beings live in a narrow room, built from the limits of what they are willing to see. The Draco do not accept such walls. They stretch their perception until it covers centuries, fields, movements of things that others do not even believe exist. And as their perception grows, so does the size of the world they live in. They do not just inhabit a planet. They inhabit patterns that cross worlds. As you take in these 5 messages, something about the hall itself begins to feel alive. You can sense that these words are less about instruction and more about widening the place inside you where new knowledge can live. It is not about learning something new. It is about making yourself large enough to hold it when it comes. When you turn to leave this part of the archives, you can feel the difference in your steps. They are slower, steadier, as if a rhythm has begun to form in you, one that does not need to ask for permission from the chaos outside. The next section of the archives feels narrower again, like a throat that leads even deeper underground. The walls here are darker, the carvings sharper, and each torch you pass flickers as if the air itself resists your movement. In this place, the messages begin to speak about creation, not just observing or waiting, but shaping reality itself. The 26th message stands out immediately. It has been cut on a piece of stone that juts out of the wall like the prow of a ship. Do not chase reality. Build it. It is a single sentence, but it holds an entire path inside it. The Draco never move as if the world is something given. They move as if every step lays a new stone, as if the field responds not to need, but to structure. You can live your whole life waiting for the right moment, the right place, the right tools. Or you can start building with what you already carry. The ones who build, even slowly, are the ones the world bends around. Next to it, half hidden in the shadow of a corner, you find the 27th message. Your body is the first world you create. Before you shape anything outside, you shape yourself. The Dracos see the body as a vessel for all other creation. A chaotic body builds a chaotic field. They work for years to clear that vessel, through discipline, posture, movement, until their very presence becomes a stable foundation on which everything else stands. This message asks you to look closely. What world does your body carry right now? Would you want to live in it if it were all that existed? The 28th message lies deeper in, scratched into a spiral on the wall, so that you have to walk around it to read the whole sentence. Cold mind, warm heart, never the other way. It is a reminder of order. The Draco do not allow heat to rule them. They cool the mind so that the heart can act without distortion. A hot mind burns every decision before it is made. But a cold mind holds space for the heart to move with clarity. It is balance, and it is one of the reasons their actions seem unshakable. To act from this place is to act as if the outcome has already been seen. On the opposite wall, lit from below, you see the 29th message. Architecture of the invisible comes before walls of stone. The Draco have built cities, structures, and empires, but none of those began with stone. They began with the structure of fields, with the unseen frameworks that shape the behavior of everything that follows. If you build the invisible first, the visible becomes inevitable. This message tells you, before you change what you can touch, change the pattern that no one else sees. And finally, at the very end of this long corridor, the 30th message appears. It is wide and low, carved so deep that it almost looks like a door cut into the wall. To hold the pattern is to hold the world. This last teaching is like a culmination of all that came before it. The Draco do not try to hold on to events. They hold the pattern. They align themselves so fully that even when the surface of the world collapses, the structure underneath remains, and everything that is destroyed grows again around that unbroken form. This is why they are never afraid to lose. They know that what has a strong enough pattern can always be rebuilt. As you leave this corridor, the meaning of these messages begins to grow inside you like a quiet seed. They are less about distant beings in some forgotten hall, and more about what you might be able to build with your own life. The stone walls around you are silent, but the silence feels alive, like it has been waiting a very long time for someone to hear it. The further you go, the more the air feels like liquid. The corridor narrows again, but this time there is almost no light. The walls here do not hold large blocks of words. They hold short, sharp lines, as if the stone itself wanted to speak quickly, urgently, before it was too late. Every letter seems to burn in the torchlight, and then disappear into the dark behind you. The 31st message is cut into the wall at chest level, small and clear. Do not stand where you were born. This does not speak of land. It speaks of limits. It says that you cannot build the shape of your true self inside the small boundaries of the shape you began with. The Draco move not because they are lost, but because they know that staying still in the same frame makes the mind collapse in on itself. You must expand. You must grow beyond the walls given to you. Every pattern that traps you will continue to hold you as long as you refuse to step outside it. A few steps ahead, half hidden in shadow, you see the 32nd message. The story of your species is not finished. These words feel different from the others. They are not a rule or a lesson. They are a reminder. The Draco keep records older than the oldest human memory, but even those records are not the end. What has been told about where you come from, about what you are, that story is still being written. And you are part of it. The archives say this not as comfort, but as responsibility. Every life changes the text. Finally, the 33rd message sits at the very end of the corridor, and it is so small you almost miss it. Only when the torchlight flickers across the surface do the words appear. When you find the door, remember, you built it. This is the heart of what these halls are trying to teach. Everything you are walking through, every gate, every opening, every key, none of it was given to you. It has always been built by your own steps. Even when it feels as if the world has closed around you, the door that leads out is shaped by your hands. The Draco know this. They carve it into their blood so deeply that no illusion of imprisonment can make them forget. It is the last and greatest strength they carry, that no one gives them freedom. They make it. As you stand in this smallest, darkest chamber, the silence presses closer. You realize that these last 3 messages are not written for crowds. They are written for a single person at a time. You do not need to read them out loud. They are already inside you. The moment you hear them, they become yours, like stones dropped into water that will keep rippling long after you leave this place. And in that silence, you understand why these halls are so deep underground. They are not meant to be easy to reach. They are meant to test whether you are willing to walk far enough inside yourself to hear them. You step into the deepest hall of the archives. There are no torches here, no marks of those who have come before. The ceiling disappears into darkness, and the walls are smooth except for 2 carvings. It is said that these final messages are not read with the eyes alone, they are felt. You can sense it already. The stillness here is different. It is so complete that even the sound of your breath feels out of place. At the center, on a single monolith, lies the 34th message. It is written wide and deep, each line perfectly even, the letters filled with some faint glimmer that seems to come from the stone itself. You are the field you build. Not the body. Not the history. Not the name you were given. The Draco are telling you that in the end, everything else falls away. What remains is the pattern you have shaped with every choice, every breath, every silence. It is this field that survives death, this field that draws life toward it, this field that becomes the gravity of who you are. When the body fails and the story ends, what you built remains. This is why they spend centuries in discipline, because they know the only thing they truly carry out of this life is what they have built inside. And then, in a corner of the hall that you almost miss because of the size of the chamber, stands the last message. The 35th. It is small, no larger than your hand, but when you look at it, you realize it carries more weight than any of the others. The letters are so shallow you wonder how they have not been erased by time. Yet they shine faintly when your eyes catch them. Become the one who remembers. The Draco know that most of what is true has been buried. The weight of time, the noise of fear, the chaos of distraction, all of it covers over the simple clarity of what you really are. These words are a call. They say, do not add to the forgetting. Do not let yourself be erased by the flow. Remember the messages. Remember the silence. Remember the field. And when everyone else has fallen asleep again, be the one who carries the memory forward. For a long time, there is nothing after that. No more words, no more symbols, only the echo of those lines in the empty hall. And maybe, as you stand there, you realize that these last two are not instructions. They are not even lessons. They are mirrors showing you what you were meant to become all along. When you finally turn to leave, the halls do not feel the same. You are not the same. You walked in looking for knowledge, but you walk out carrying something heavier than knowledge. You carry a shape, one that will not leave you. And though the world outside may look unchanged, you know the truth: the archive is not a place. It is a state. Once you have walked through it, you never truly leave. When you step back into the first hall, the path you just walked feels unreal. The light of the upper world seems thin compared to the weight of those carvings, and yet you carry their weight with you. It clings to you like a second skin. There are no guards here to stop you from leaving. The Draco know that no one who has seen the full archive ever really leaves it behind. The messages continue to speak long after the stone is gone from sight. You may wonder why these words were carved, who they were meant for, why they were hidden so deep beneath the earth. But the truth is clear now: they were not written for crowds. They were written for the one who would stand in front of them alone, for the one ready to hear them without the noise of 1,000 other voices. They are not a gift. They are a responsibility. You carry them out with you, and they begin to change the way you look at the world above. You notice how much of life is just running in circles. You see how loud everything is, how quickly fear moves people, how much time is wasted chasing what will fall apart on its own. And you notice how, beneath all that movement, there is a stillness waiting, like a riverbed beneath the surface. These messages are teaching you to step into that stillness and see what others cannot. The 35 messages of the archives are not meant to be memorized. They are meant to be lived. Each one is a door. And every time you walk through one, something in you becomes heavier, more deliberate, more alive. You begin to build your own field, brick by brick, until one day, without even noticing it, you will stand the way the Dracos stand, unshaken, unhurried, holding a presence that changes every space you enter. If even one of these messages has stayed with you, hold it. Let it grow in you. Walk with it until it becomes part of you. Because in the end, the archives are not a place you visit. They are a place you become. And as you reach the edge of these halls and the air of the outside world touches your face again, the last thought that comes to you is simple: these messages were waiting for you long before you ever came looking for them. You have already begun to change simply by hearing them. If any one of these 35 messages has awakened something inside you, a memory, a strength, a vision you didn't know you had, share it in the comments. Write which one stopped you. And if you feel the pull to keep walking this path, subscribe, because there are more halls ahead, and this was only the beginning. The archives are far from finished.